speakers for this contest. Our first speaker, Paul Risvit. Why I became an auditor. Why I became an auditor, Paul Risvit.
A lot of us, as we grow up, we think about what we want to be when we grow up. So when we're kids, we look at things like, I want to be a cowboy, or I want to be an astronaut. And as we grow older, we realize that there aren't always cowboys walking around. There aren't as many astronauts walking around. So we have to make decisions. So we get into high school, and we start to think about actually having careers. So we think about being teachers. We think about being doctors, lawyers, and all those types of things. I decided to go a direction. I was very excited about something that I didn't see all my friends getting excited about, and that was to be an accountant or an auditor. So maybe it's good that we start out and decide just to make sure we're clear on what an auditor is, because I get a lot of different responses when I say I'm an auditor. Some of my friends say you should say you're a consultant, but I say I'm an auditor with some pride. An auditor can be a couple different things. An auditor can be an IRS tax auditor. So that might be someone that would come in and look at your books and say, yes, you paid the right amount of taxes, or no, you didn't. That's not who I am, so we can still be friends. Another type of thing I get a lot of times when I ask if I'm an auditor, they say, oh, you're a bean counter. And I look at them and then I decide if I need to correct them or not, if they're really wanting to talk to me about being an auditor. Not everyone is. But what a bean counter or an accountant that they're kind of getting at is someone that would make sure that as we go through transactions, we record them correctly. So that's not what I do, so certainly we can still be friends. Being that I'm going to be a little more funner than those guys, no offense to the accountants in the room. I need you guys. So what I do is I'm a corporate auditor. What I do is I make sure that processes, as we walk through them, that they have proper controls and we've identified all the risks. This is a pretty fascinating process and it requires an unbiased opinion as well. So it really holds you to a high standard of looking at each of these processes, not getting emotionally connected, but really understanding it from front to back. For me, that's a very fascinating process because we really get to understand where are the risks, especially if you look at fraud. How do we make sure we protect not only our company, but we protect our employees as well? It's of vital importance to most companies, so that brings me a lot of joy knowing that I'm doing that. And so we look at all the processes across the organization. I might look at accounts receivable one day, so making sure that everything everyone owes us is the right amount, and that there isn't any way someone can take some of that money into their own bank account. It's pretty important. I might look at things like a fixed asset process to make sure everything's recorded correctly from that perspective. Another process that really brought home to me the importance of being an auditor, and there's a lot of risk around this, is safety and health. So we did an audit where we looked at safety and health. So I went down to Norfolk, Virginia, a lot of military down there. And what we looked at is to make sure that people can come to work and leave work in the same condition they left. To me, that brought me a lot of joy to know that I could add value to the company that way. Another audit that we did was looking at whether if something were to happen, that we would be prepared for that. And to me, that's a good feeling if you can leave work, that people are ready for major disasters and things like that. So it's really challenging, it's really engaging. It isn't necessarily what you consider a bean counter type work. Not only that, but I mentioned I traveled to Norfolk, Virginia. To me, a great part about my job is that I get to travel a lot. I've been to California, I've been to Florida, I've been to Texas. Lately now, I've been traveling abroad. So this last year, I went to China, I was in Ireland, I was in France. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Poland. And so what drove me to accounting and what drove me to think all through high school and all through college I was going to be an accountant and really enjoy it is a conversation I had with my dad in a car driving over the Highway 77 bridge. I said, Dad, I don't know what I want to be. Where do I want to go to school? What do I want to do? And my dad, who I'm very close to, he's a salesman, I really like his advice. He said, well, what do you like? And I said, well, I like this accounting class. Things kind of make sense, which then led me to be an auditor. And he said, you know, a sharp accountant could make more than a good lawyer. And to me, that was a little bit freeing so that I could finally say, I can chase that dream a little bit. And my dad and I had several conversations after that. So I always went into accounting. I always took auditing classes and things like that were really encouraging to me. So as we look at our youth and as they go through their process of understanding what should I do when I grow up, I don't see any reason why we can't add auditor to that. I don't know how many of us look at our kids and say, oh, I hope you're an auditor someday. No, there's something inherently wrong with that. But had I known the things I know today about what actually an auditor does, I think my choice would have been a lot easier, and I could have got forward more